Hi, hello, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new EP or short collection of tracks from Slauson Malone, New York-based multi-instrumentalist, producer, member of the experimental music collective Standing on the Corner. Yes, this is a follow-up in a way, I guess, due to the cover being a tattoo of the cover of his debut record. This thing over here being a spiritual successor to that project. Loved that record. A very unique experience and combination of sound collage, glitch, instrumental hip-hop, and so much more. I was pretty curious to hear another helping of that with this new batch of tracks, which, mind you, the title of this thing translated roughly from German is Dealing with the Past. But Malone actually switches things up quite significantly on this one. I won't say it's like a 180-degree turnaround or anything like that. I think spiritually he's still playing with a lot of the same genres and ideas, but this time around he is really flexing what I would call just that singer-songwriter muscle, featuring these moaning, dejected lead vocals playing out over one forlorn guitar or piano chord progression after the next. There's something about the singing and lyricism on this project too that occasionally reminds me of King Cruel or Frank Ocean, depending on the track. Sometimes even both at the same time, which is not entirely a bad thing. I mean, both artists and creators that I admire, I think, make good work, and there's nothing really on this album I think anybody would mistake for being the work of one of those two artists, because regardless of what Malone is doing on this record musically, he is still feeding everything through a very surreal series of edits and manipulations that still make me feel like my reality is crumbling before me. Up is down, left is right, blue is red, and so on and so forth. So while a track like The Message 3 might be serenading me with some deep, melancholy lead vocals and delicate but roughly played guitar passages, simultaneously, the piece is still peppered with all of these disorienting sound effects and manipulations. But regardless of what else Malone is adding to these tracks in terms of edits, the compositional ideas and the songs still come through really clear. The vision of the tune isn't necessarily lost in, let's say, for example, Smile 6, where we get these stuttering, overwhelming chunks of pitch-shifted vocals all stumbling on top of each other over some really angelic guitars. Part of me wants to make the comparison here of the insane, trippy vocal edits and acoustics to, I don't know, like an old Books album. So while the edits on this project continue to be engaging and creative, simultaneously there are cuts, there are moments on this thing where it's really the instrumentation and the compositions taking the spotlight. That is especially the case on the closing track, The Wake, Part 3 and 2, the first leg of which is set to these gorgeous, gusty sax layers and gracefully played guitar chords. The impassioned vocals to follow after this are a treat too. So there are highlights on this thing that I could point out and continue to point out as I go deeper into this review, but I also want to appreciate just how uniform of an experience this EP is too. Doesn't really matter what track you're on, honestly, from 1 minute to the next. The entire listen here is so jarring and beautiful at the same time. There's something so enchanting about the vocals, the guitars, the keys on every corner of this piece, but also it's constantly breaking me out of this need to settle and relax and be mystified by its sounds, because it's just tossing ideas and glitches and changes in front of me that I have to wrestle with, contend with, make sense of. There are a lot of very familiar instrumental palettes and compositional ideas thrown in front of you here and there from track to track too, that I have a sneaking suspicion that things might be getting represented on certain points of this project to give the listener the sensation that like they're in a place that they feel like they've been before, but they can't quite recognize it. Simultaneously, I would say that's true of the consistent lyrical allusions to past events and time and memories. So yeah, I loved this EP. It was short, it was sweet, it was very thought-provoking, and I think it will continue to be for me for quite a while. I think for a good chunk of the rest of this year, I'm just going to be unraveling this thing. And I don't know. I think I'm just going to continue to enjoy that process. But if you've given this EP a listen, let me know what you thought of it. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. You're the best. Love ya. Anthony Fantano, Slauson Malone, forever.